Hello, this is Vicki Jervickas at the Greater Gainesville Chamber. I am the Director of Public Policy, and I'm delighted today to welcome Christian Newman to talk with us. He is one of our candidates for the City Commission, District 4. So he's going to spend some time telling us about his priorities. I have a few questions for him, and we'll get to know him better this morning. Christian, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vicki. Obviously, the business community is a key partner in a lot of the things that the city needs to be doing and working on as we move forward. So my name is Christian Newman. I grew up in Gainesville, and this community invested in me, and I want to return that investment by serving as a city commissioner for District 4. I have the right experience to be an effective city commission because I've been a kid, I've been a teacher, I've been a coach, I've been a homeowner, I've been a renter, I've been a business owner, and a city plan board member here in Gainesville. So I have a wide range of kind of experiences that I'm looking forward to bringing forth on the city commission. Right now, I purposely moved in 2010 to District 4 because I wanted to live in a vibrant part of Gainesville and to be a part of a community that, represents the heart and soul of Gainesville. So it's been great since we moved here, and really enjoy it. I have two kids. I have a senior in high school at Eastside High School. When I went away to college, I grew up and I went to Eastside, went away to college. After college, I did a program called Teach for America, and I taught for 2 years in the Mississippi Delta in rural, sort of dirt poor locations. And I saw some things that I'd never seen in Gainesville. But when I came back to Gainesville and I taught at Eastside, it kind of opened my eyes to some of the challenges and opportunities that we have in Gainesville. After I was done teaching, I went back to UF. I got a degree in wildlife ecology. I was going to go back and get a degree in environmental education, but life takes you in different directions. And so when I got out of graduate school, I started a company called Pandion Systems. My father, we had moved here in '77, and then he was also one of the owners, starters, or entrepreneurs that started KBN Engineering, and he encouraged me to bet on myself and to bet on the people that I was close with to start this little company. So it was hard. It was hard for a number of years, but we were able to kind of persevere because we had support from family and friends. And the other thing I also did is that I realized that although I had a lot of great ideas about what I wanted to do, I really didn't know anything about being a business owner. So I went back and I got an MBA at UF, which kind of, again, is just, it kind of opens your eyes, creates sort of different paradigms, different ways of approaching problems. And it's been instrumental in terms of the success that I've had since then, but also in terms of how I think and approach, problems. So I grew up my little company. We ended up growing to be about 25, 30 people. We developed new technologies. We got a lot of excitement in the wind industry, and we were able to sell our company to an employee-owned company out of New Hampshire, which is still located here in Gainesville. I then went and worked. I did a startup for a UK company at the Innovation Hub here at the University of Florida. We did that for 2 years. Again, I bet on myself. It didn't work out how we wanted. The company is still going, but like all things, you have to give it a shot. But now I work for the Electric Power Research Institute. I run their Endangered Protected Species program. It's an independent nonprofit that does research all over the world around energy, electric power and energy. And so one of the interesting things about me right now is that I'm being exposed to all the cutting edge things that are being done and explored and talked about across the world to try to address how we're going to achieve these clean energy goals. And it's very complicated, but it's doable. And there's a lot of things going on and a lot of things that we're not doing in Gainesville. And so one of the things that I also wanted to do was, as my kids got older, I had more time. I got on the city plan board, and that was a great experience for 4 years, trying to learn and have a better understanding of how decisions are made, and combining with that with my environmental and sort of business background in terms of approaching some of the challenges that we had. Yeah, so I'm really excited to be running for city commission. I'm having a tremendous time talking to people, learning about my community. But I really want to focus on, essentially common sense, experienced leadership in local government. I mean, that's really what we need. And so, I want to focus on resiliency, making Gainesville stronger, opportunity, creating opportunities for business and people, and then also inclusivity, because right now the citizens they're not being included in the decisions, or they don't feel like they're being heard. And we have to change that, because essentially we are a community, and unless we're together, we're not going to be able to solve these challenges. And so we've got a tremendous amount of talent in Gainesville, and I want to leverage that talent to produce the results that are going to benefit the current citizens, as well as what's going to be happening in the next 10, 20 years.
Terrific. Okay, well, that's a great lead into our question part of our time here. So the first question is, what do you perceive are the three most important concerns facing Gainesville right now?
So the three main concerns right now are something that's imminent, basically proposed changing to single family zoning, which is something that I've come out sort of strongly against. And the three reasons, and the reason I'm so concerned about this is, one is that, again, the city is not actually engaged with the neighborhoods around what are these changes. And so we've also not done the analysis to show that it's going to achieve the things that we want. And then fundamentally, the other thing too is, like, I'm not convinced that it's really going to achieve affordable housing. So, at this point in time, more work needs to be done on that. So that's the biggest thing on the campaign trail. Honestly, some of these things may be sort of decided by the time I get in, if I get elected, I get into office. But that's a big thing. And so that kind of frames, like, how we're going to sort of build out in the future, that density and those things. And then obviously overall, GRU is a big topic, and again, it's such a complicated topic with long history of many decisions in the past. But I think we have to focus on two things. One is, how are we going to move GRU forward, and what kind of investments we need. But also right now, our citizens, people are getting bills. I'm getting emails from people where, their rates are extremely, extremely high. And we need to be very sympathetic to that. We need to try to do things about it. In the short term, obviously, some of the things we need to do is maybe think about direct relief for some individuals, but we also need to be talking about ways that we are going to directly lower those rates by improving efficiency within the homes or within businesses, trying to find ways of maybe having GRU provide loans or incentives to have that happen, and then working with our business community, our contractors, to try to sort of help facilitate that, because it could be a win-win on that. And then obviously there's lots of concerns about the financial management of GRU and the general transfer and all those things. Those are all things that we need to be, talking about. And then within that, though, we also have to be thinking about the future, because things are changing within the industry. One of the things that is really talked about within the organization they worked about is around electrification. So basically, there is a movement for the electric power industry for everything to be electrified, that we're going to have plug-in cars, and so plug-in everything. So what does that mean? How are we going to sort of achieve that? Because if we were right now, if everyone was plugging in right now, we'd be addressing climate change, because there'd be less carbon in the atmosphere, because we wouldn't be driving cars. But then the other thing too is that that essentially the cost of energy in terms of driving, it's like 36 times less. So these are the kind of things that we need to be focused on. And then the other issue, which I kind of touched on in the very beginning, is this issue of trust and public engagement. And so I think right now there's just such a lack of trust with the city commission and our current city commission. I'm very confident that the next group, whether I'm in or not, there will be a significant change in how we're going to be working with the community and listening to the community to try to make sure that they are being heard, and that we're using some of their input to help us make decisions.
Okay, terrific. That's a good segue into our second question, which is, what do you think the role of the city commission is in the community?
So, well, again, coming from more of a business side, and it's not exactly the same, but I do view it as as like a board of directors. I mean, we are not, we are there to sort of synthesize and sort of make some hard decisions. We're there to set direction, but we're not there to be down in departments telling departments what they should be doing, right? We need to be focusing on hiring the right people, holding those people accountable, incentivizing them to be successful at the higher levels, and make sure that those things are happening as it sort of filters down. And then the other thing too is we need to be, we are the stewards. We are the stewards of the money that is raised through taxes. And so, we need to be in a position where we are making good long-term financial decisions for the community. So, my view is that, I'm not going to be probably what might be described as like an activist, city commissioner. We have 7 of us on there. We need to sort of work together. We need to understand sort of the issues and the things that are common between us, and for things that may not be sort of common, for me to be like, hey, I think this is a really important, issue. How can we work on this together? Because you got to get 4 votes. And so, that is fundamentally what the city commission sort of be about. So, I'm not going to be up there on the dais making land use decisions. That is not my job. That is not my job. We have staff, we have experts, we have the community. I'm up there to sort of listen and weigh the evidence to make, again, in my world as a wildlife biologist, evidence-based decisions. And so that's what we should be focusing on as a city commission.
Very good. Okay, so you can drill down a little bit on some of the things you've touched on. What would be your top priorities and projects if you're elected?
Well, I think there are two broad things that I think that we should sort of talk about. So one I touched on a little bit, just in terms of trying to make sure that we are investing in the right infrastructure for the future. So that has to do with energy, right? So that has to do with helping us to achieve this clean energy future, which includes electrification. Those are things that we can do now. But then the other thing too also is I don't feel, and again, we're just, this summer, the last couple of years, we're having more and more extreme events, which is obviously, one thing is we're having really high utility rates because it's so hot. But then, we also have more flooding. We have all these other things. We need to be investing in the infrastructure so that, one, we can protect sort of the assets that we currently have, but we can also be planning for future growth in areas. I mean, again, there are older neighborhoods that need that kind of investment. And then the other thing too is, as someone who has seen the tremendous growth and sort of opportunities as Gainesville has grown west for a lot of different sort of reasons. I mean, the east side of Gainesville is a wonderful place. And again, I taught there, I went there, I've coached out there. It's an asset that we are underutilizing, and we need to create some long-term plans that are actually going to be sort of implemented. And again, there are some things that are happening, but again, we really need to focus on that, because that is an area where it can benefit the residents there. It can sort of help sort of address the general socioeconomic inequalities that we have in our community, but then it also will benefit all of Gainesville. I mean, if that area can sort of do better, we can all do better.
Very good. And again, to touch a little bit on something from your opening statement, and a reminder that none of the candidates have gotten the questions ahead of time, so everyone is getting them fresh. There has been significant turmoil within the commission and with city staff. How do you think this should be addressed?
Well, that's one of the things that when I was in graduate school, and then since I've run organizations, I've read a lot of books, I've read a lot about organizations and how important culture is. And so, one of the things that we need to focus on is basically making sure that there is a cultural service to each other within sort of Gainesville broadly, but then particularly within the city of Gainesville. And so, we've got to, part of this has to do with, hiring sort of the right leaders. And then also, again, we're like board of directors. I'm not going to be down there, counseling people, what they should do. But we've got to create some stability, and we have to create support and help those people be successful. And the other thing that I also want to see is and I've had some discussions with city staff around sort of different topics, but for example, the city manager, who obviously is one of the key charter officers, there's others, but they need to feel empowered that they can bring us anything and talk about anything with us. They need to be able to tell us the truth. They need to feel that they need to have the back of the city workers and make sure that, as their communicating to the city commission, that we are listening to that as we are sort of prioritizing the things that we want to try to achieve and the strategies that we think we might be, wanting to implement. But from what I understand right now, that a lot of that the city manager, that they're, unfortunately, they're incentivized to make the board happy. Obviously we are an elected body, but, for me, we need to, that can't be the only sort of motivation and incentive of that position. They need to be someone who is representing, the public, the city staff, and using that as in working with us to try to sort of implement these things, because I think so. I guess sort of coming back to what we've got to sort of build a culture of service and a culture of trust. That's a high, I know that's a very sort of highfalutin thing, but that has to sort of be done, and we have to make sure that the city staff knows that we appreciate them. We need to communicate to the citizens that, hey, these people are your neighbors. These people are here to serve you. If you don't feel like you're being served well, let's talk about it. Let's try to sort of figure it out, because essentially, they are here to serve and provide sort of the basic services of government. And so we need to focus on that.
Very good. All right. And then our final kind of wrap it all up question is, why should members of the business community vote for you?
Yeah. Well, I think I've had multiple businesses here. Some have done well, some haven't worked out. I know what it's like to try to make payroll. I know what it's like to try to win work. I know what it's like to try to get work from a government entity. I know that there's, external sort of competition and influences that are sort of, that are outside of the control, of Gainesville. And so, we need to, I'm going to be a city commissioner who has the understanding of what it takes to start a business, run a business here in Gainesville. I have an MBA, so I just have a tremendous amount of sort of experience around that. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things is that everything is connected, right? We're, in my world, as an ecologist, we're an ecosystem, right? So essentially, the business community is an important part of this ecosystem. And so, we need to make sure that as a government, we're working well with them, providing them with the incentives and for them and the basis for them to sort of do well. But then we also at times need to basically be honest, sometimes to say, hey, we need to potentially sort of work on changing this particular sort of behavior for this reason, but we need to be engaging with the business community to try to help us achieve these long-term goals. And the other thing too, which is, I think is really important is, I've talked about this before, is, again, as a kid and then even as a business owner, we were not associated with the university. We were not associated with the medical community. So Gainesville is so fortunate that we have those two big things here in Gainesville. And but we also need to sort of understand that if you're not a part of those, if you're not working in those things, it is a challenge. Gainesville can be a challenge to come start a business and be here. And so, we need to be focusing on what can we do to diversify the businesses in Gainesville. We need to be working on sort of investing in our people that are here to help, who have existing businesses, how that we can be successful, and then also trying to encourage people to bet on themselves, which is a hard thing to do. and recognize that not everyone's going to be successful. But if we don't try, if we don't try, then they won't have. And then the other thing too is we have tremendous assets, and we need to be trying to look for other potential sort of other larger employers to come to Gainesville. But it needs to be something that we can sort of demonstrate that it's going to have long-term benefits, for the community. And again, there's been examples where, people have sort of come in, taken the tax breaks, been here 5 years and left. And again, we don't have total control over all of those things, but, we need to sort of recognize that as much as we can, if we can try to sort of, keep local dollars local, that just strengthens our community. But doesn't mean that, it's not practical for all types of services and, and goods. But, we need to be thinking about those things. And those are some of the core things that I think, as someone who's had a business, who's studied organizations, who've run organizations, those are the kind of things that are in the back of my mind. And again, as a city commissioner, again, I'm one of 7, but this is the kind of thinking and approaches that I'll take to trying to sort of make decisions as a city commissioner.
Very good. Okay, so now we're at the end of our time together. So if there's anything else that you wanted to get in that you didn't get to, or you want to just wrap it up and bring us home, now's the time.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I've said. so no, I think I've probably hit, some of the main points. I think that Gainesville and Alachua County is such a great place. And I think that's why we're all here. We all see the possibilities. And I know we're doing good things. I know we can do better. And a part of that is again, just being open and honest and communicating with all the different sort of stakeholders, and trying to sort of provide rationale and evidence for our decisions. But then also when things don't work, right? You're like, look, yes, this didn't work. I mean, and that's a part that's a critical thing that we also need to sort of own up to. And I think it's hard for politicians to do that sometimes, because obviously if something doesn't work, they get blamed, they don't get elected. Again, this is my first time running. Honestly, I'm doing this out of wanting to sort of give back. And, I hope that if I'm elected, that if there are times when that I haven't made good decisions, or things haven't gone the way that we wanted, that I will be, I'll be strong enough and open enough to say, yeah, sorry, that didn't work like how I wanted. This is the reason we made those decisions. It didn't work. And that's, again, as a business owner, when you sort of think about investments, you're trying to sort of make the best decision you can as you're moving forward. Not, and sometimes things don't go the way you want, but sometimes it opens new doors to other things. And I think that, we just need to have that kind of philosophy, that we just need to constantly trying to move forward to address, these challenges for our community, for the benefit of everyone.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much. It was great talking to you this morning, Christian. And just a reminder, Christian is running for District 4 for the City Commission. Thank you again. Good luck as we finish off the campaign. A reminder to everyone that the primary is August 23rd, Tuesday. At the Chamber, we're very committed to making sure every voice is heard. So please visit our website, learn more about the candidates, and get out and vote. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Christian.
Yeah, thank you, Vicki. Thank you to the Chamber.